I stare out the window of the taxi as the city blurs past, a familiar landscape that should bring comfort, but instead fills me with an inexplicable sense of unease. My life has always been about control. I've built a successful career, a beautiful home, and a marriage that, on the surface, appears perfect. But lately there's been something off, a tension I can't quite place. It started as a nagging feeling, something small, like a thread loose in the fabric of my life. I dismissed it, of course. I have a tendency to overthink, to imagine problems where none exist. Yet the feeling has grown, gnawing at the edges of my mind. The taxi pulls up to the driveway, and I pay the driver, my mind already shifting to thoughts of my wife. I've been away for 3 days on business, and I'm eager to see her. There's a routine to our reunions, one that's always been comforting. A kiss at the door, a glass of wine, and the way she melts into my arms as we talk about our days. But today, that comfort is tinged with a strange sense of dread. I push the feeling down, forcing a smile as I grab my suitcase and head toward the front door. The house is quiet when I enter, almost unnaturally so. I call out her name, but there's no answer. Maybe she's upstairs or out running an errand. I step into the hallway, the silence pressing in on me. My footsteps echo on the hardwood floor as I make my way toward the kitchen, expecting to find her there, maybe cooking dinner or pouring a glass of wine. But the kitchen is empty too. Something is wrong. I can feel it in my bones, a cold, creeping certainty that this isn't just my imagination. I hear a noise upstairs, a soft thud, and then silence. My heart starts to pound, each beat reverberating in my chest. I call out again, louder this time, but the only response is the oppressive quiet. I set my suitcase down, my hand trembling slightly as I reach for the banister and start to climb the stairs. Each step feels heavier than the last, as if something is pulling me back, warning me to stop. But I can't. I need to see her, to make sure everything is okay. As I reach the top of the stairs, I hear another sound, a muffled voice followed by a low laugh. It's coming from the bedroom. My bedroom. I feel a surge of anger, but it's mixed with something else, something darker and more terrifying. I push open the door, and before I can register what I'm seeing, I'm struck hard on the head from behind. Pain explodes in my skull, and the world goes black. My last thought before I lose consciousness is that everything is far from okay. Pain radiates through my skull as I come to, my senses struggling to catch up with my reality. My eyelids feel like they're glued shut, but I force them open, blinking against the dim light that barely illuminates the room. The air is thick, and there's a faint, sickly sweet smell lingering, almost like perfume, but tainted with something rotten. My head throbs, a dull, relentless pounding that makes it hard to focus. I try to move, but I'm met with resistance. My wrists are bound tightly to the arms of a chair, the roughness of the rope cutting into my skin. Panic surges through me as I yank against the restraints, but they don't give. My legs are tied down too, immobilized against the chair's legs. I can't even shift my weight. The reality of my situation slams into me, sharp and cold. I'm trapped. A soft feminine laugh draws my attention to the corner of the room. My heart stutters as I see her, my wife, Leah. She's perched on the edge of the bed, her robe hanging loosely off her shoulders, exposing more than I've ever seen her exposed to me in such a casual manner. Her lips curl into a smirk, a look I've never seen before, a look that chills me to the bone. "Good, you're awake," she says, her voice dripping with mockery. I open my mouth to speak, but my throat is dry, and the words stick. Before I can force anything out, I see movement behind her. 2 men step into view, both of them tall, broad-shouldered, and exuding a dangerous energy that makes my skin crawl. One of them is shirtless, his muscular frame rippling as he moves toward Leah, placing a possessive hand on her shoulder. She tilts her head up to him, her eyes dark with something twisted. "Leah," I manage to croak, my voice hoarse. "What the hell is going on?" She laughs again, and it's a sound that shatters the image I had of her, the woman I thought I knew. "Isn't it obvious, darling?" She purrs, slipping off the bed and sauntering over to me. We're just having a little fun. I can't believe what I'm hearing. This is not the woman I married. My mind races, trying to make sense of this nightmare, but nothing adds up. Let me go. I demand, trying to keep my voice steady, trying to reclaim some control. The second man, still standing by the bed, crosses his arms and smirks. We will eventually, but first we need you to do something for us. I shake my head, confusion and anger swirling in my chest. I don't know who the hell you think you are, but I'm not doing anything for you. Leah clicks her tongue, disappointment flashing in her eyes. You really should reconsider, darling. These men aren't as patient as I am. The man next to Leah moves closer, towering over me. His presence is suffocating, and when he speaks, his voice is low and threatening. It's simple. You do what we say, or you die here, tied to this chair. Your choice. I stare up at him, my mind reeling. How did this happen? How did I end up here, in my own home, at the mercy of strangers and my wife? I feel like I'm trapped in someone else's nightmare, one that I can't wake up from. I grit my teeth and spit out, "Go to hell!" His response is immediate and brutal. He backhands me across the face, the force of the blow snapping my head to the side. My vision blurs from the impact, and the metallic taste of blood fills my mouth. Leah doesn't even flinch, doesn't show a flicker of concern. Instead, she watches with detached amusement, like she's observing a play she's seen 100 times. I fight against the pain, my breath coming in short, ragged gasps. You're not going to get away with this, I say, though the words feel weak, hollow. Leah crouches down in front of me, her fingers trailing lightly along my cheek, where a bruise is already forming. Oh, darling, she whispers, her breath warm against my skin. You really don't understand, do you? We've already gotten away with it. The reality of her words crashes over me, a wave of despair that I can barely keep at bay. What am I supposed to do? How do I get out of this? The second man speaks up, his voice more calculating, almost bored. Enough of the theatrics. We don't have all night. Here's the deal. We have something we want you to get for us. You do it. You walk out of here alive. You don't, well, he lets the sentence hang, the threat implicit. What do you want? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. He smiles, a cold, predatory smile. There's a key you're going to retrieve for us, a key to a safe deposit box at your bank. We know you have it. That's why you're here. I shake my head, confusion clouding my thoughts. What are you talking about? I don't have any key like that. Leah's expression hardens and she stands up, turning her back to me. Stop lying, James. You think I don't know about your little secrets? About the offshore account? The money you've been stashing away for years? My heart skips a beat. She knows about the account, the money I've been hiding, planning to use for, what? A safety net? An escape plan? I never thought I'd actually need it. I don't have the key here, I say, grasping at straws, trying to buy time. It's at my office. The first man snorts, clearly unimpressed. You're a terrible liar, James. We know it's here, somewhere in this house, and you're going to tell us where. Leah turns to face me again, her expression softer now, almost pitying. Don't make this harder than it has to be, darling. Just tell them where the key is, and this can all be over. But I can't. I won't. There's no way I'm giving them access to that account. I don't know what they want with the money, but it's clear it's not for anything good. My mind races, trying to come up with a plan, but every idea feels futile. You're not getting it, I say finally, my voice steady despite the fear coursing through me. I won't give you the key. The second man sighs as if disappointed, but not surprised. He walks over to the dresser, picks up something metallic, and then returns to stand in front of me. It's a knife, gleaming wickedly in the dim light. He holds it up, turning it slowly so I can see every inch of the blade. You will, James, he says calmly. One way or another, you will. He places the tip of the knife against my thigh, just enough pressure to let me know how easily it could slip through the fabric of my pants and into my flesh. I grit my teeth, trying to prepare myself for the pain I know is coming, but nothing can truly prepare you for something like this. You can stop this, Leah says softly, almost kindly. Just tell them where the key is. I look up at her, searching her face for any sign of the woman I married, the woman I loved. But she's gone. Or maybe she was never there at all. Maybe this is who she's always been, and I was just too blind to see it. I close my eyes, my mind spinning. If I give them the key, what happens next? Do they kill me anyway? And if I don't, how long can I hold out before they break me? I don't have answers, only the sickening feeling that I'm running out of time. The man with the knife presses down harder, the point digging into my skin, threatening to pierce it. I let out a strangled gasp, the pain sharp and immediate. I know it's just the beginning. They'll torture me until I give in, and then they'll take what they want and leave me for dead. But something inside me refuses to surrender. I don't know where this sudden resolve comes from, but it's there, burning bright and fierce. Maybe it's the realization that I've already lost everything. My marriage, my safety, my future. What more do I have to lose? I open my eyes and stare straight into Leah's, my gaze unwavering. Do your worst, I say, my voice low and cold. You're not getting that key. For a moment there's silence, thick and heavy. The man with the knife hesitates, clearly not expecting my defiance. Leah's expression hardens again, and she steps back, crossing her arms over her chest. Suit yourself, she says icily, but don't say I didn't warn you. The man with the knife shrugs, almost as if he's relieved I didn't make this easy. He drags the blade down the length of my thigh, not deep enough to cause serious damage, but enough to make me cry out in pain. It's a shallow cut, but the burn is excruciating, and I bite down on my lip to keep from screaming. That's just a taste, the man says, wiping the blade on my pants. We have all night. I don't respond. I can't. The pain is overwhelming, blurring the edges of my vision, making it hard to focus on anything but the throbbing in my leg. I try to think, try to come up with a way out of this, but every thought is drowned out by the agony coursing through me. They'll keep at it, I realize. They'll keep torturing me until I break, until I give them what they want. But I can't let that happen. I have to hold out, have to find a way to survive this. Leah walks over to the window, looking out as if she's bored with the whole thing. You know, she says almost to herself, I didn't think it would come to this. I thought you'd be smarter, James. Her words cut deeper than the knife ever could. How did it come to this? How did I not see the signs? Or did I see them and choose to ignore them, convincing myself that everything was fine? That we were fine? I closed my eyes again, trying to push the pain aside, trying to focus. There has to be a way out of this. I refuse to believe that this is how it ends. The man with the knife leans down, his face inches from mine. Last chance, he whispers, his breath hot against my cheek. Where's the key? I meet his gaze, my voice hoarse but resolute. Go to hell! His expression darkens and I know what's coming next. He raises the knife, ready to drive it into my leg, maybe somewhere more vital this time. But before he can strike, the door bursts open and the room floods with light. For a split second, everything stops. The man with the knife freezes. Leah turns toward the door, and I squint against the sudden brightness, trying to make sense of what's happening. But then I see them. Figures in black, armed and moving with precision. It's a raid. My heart leaps with a mix of hope and terror. Help is here, but I don't know if it's in time. The man with the knife drops the weapon and raises his hands, but it's too late. The black-clad figures move swiftly, subduing him and the other man before they can react. Leah tries to make a run for it, but they catch her too, pulling her to the ground and cuffing her hands behind her back. I slump in the chair, the rope still cutting into my skin, my mind struggling to process what's happening. Am I saved, or is this just another twist in this nightmare? One of the figures kneels in front of me, his face obscured by a mask. You're safe now, he says, his voice calm and steady. We've got you. I want to believe him. I want to collapse into relief and let the pain and fear melt away. But something inside me won't let go of the tension, won't let me trust that this is really over. "Who are you?" I manage to ask, my voice weak. "FBI," he says, starting to cut through the ropes binding my wrists. "We've been tracking these guys for months. You're lucky we got here when we did. FBI." The word registers slowly, the implications unraveling in my mind. This was bigger than I ever imagined. Leah, the men, the money, they were all part of something much larger, something far more dangerous. As the ropes fall away, I try to stand, but my legs give out and I nearly collapse. The agent catches me, holding me steady. "Easy," he says. "You've been through hell. We'll get you to a hospital." But I don't want to go to a hospital. I want answers. I want to know why this happened, how it happened, and what the hell I'm supposed to do now. "Leah," I start, but I can't finish. I look over at her, still pinned to the ground, her face twisted in a snarl. She looks at me with pure hatred, and I realize with a sickening certainty that this isn't over. Not by a long shot. The agent helps me toward the door, but I can't tear my eyes away from her. I need to know. "Why?" I ask, my voice breaking. She doesn't answer. She just stares at me, her eyes cold and dead. Whatever love was there, whatever connection we once had, is gone. All that's left is betrayal and the knowledge that the woman I thought I knew never really existed. As they lead her away, I feel a hollow emptiness settle in my chest. The woman I loved is gone, replaced by a stranger who wanted me dead. And now I'm left to pick up the pieces of a life that has been shattered beyond recognition. The agent guides me outside, into the cool night air. The darkness is comforting in a way, a contrast to the harsh light of the room I've just left behind. But even as I breathe in the fresh air, I know that the nightmare isn't over. It's just beginning. The hospital room is cold, sterile. I'm lying on a bed, a thin sheet covering me and an IV in my arm. My body aches, a dull, constant pain that's only slightly muted by the drugs they pumped into me. But it's not the physical pain that bothers me the most. It's the gnawing emptiness inside, the hollow realization that everything I thought I knew about my life has been shattered. I stare at the ceiling, trying to make sense of it all. Leah, the woman I loved, the woman I trusted with my life, had betrayed me in the most twisted way imaginable. And those men, strangers who seemed to know more about me than I did, had come into my home, tied me up, and tortured me for something I never even knew existed. The door to the room opens, and I turn my head slightly, wincing at the movement. A man in a suit walks in, his expression serious. He's tall, well-built, with dark hair neatly combed back. He looks like he's walked straight out of an FBI recruitment poster. "Mr. Daniels," he says, pulling up a chair beside my bed. "I'm Agent Harris. I'm the one who led the raid last night." I nod, though the movement sends another wave of pain through my skull. "Thank you," I manage to say, though the words feel inadequate. I don't know what else to say. Thank you for saving my life, for pulling me out of that hell. It all feels too small, too insignificant. Harris studies me for a moment, then leans forward slightly, resting his arms on his knees. "I know you've been through a lot, but I need to ask you some questions. It's important that we get as much information as possible." I swallow hard, my throat dry. I don't know how much help I'll be, I admit. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of this. "Just tell me what you remember," Harris says, his tone gentle but firm. "Anything could be useful." I take a deep breath, then slowly start to recount what happened. I tell him about coming home, about finding Leah with those men, about the torture and the demands for the key. I tell him about the offshore account, the money I'd been hiding away, something I'd never even told Leah about, or so I thought. Harris listens intently, nodding occasionally but not interrupting. When I finish, he sits back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "You said they knew about the account. Did Leah ever show any interest in your finances? Did she ever ask about the money?" I shake my head. "No, she never cared about that stuff. I handled all the finances. She just..." I don't know. She trusted me with it. Or at least that's what I thought. Harris is quiet for a moment. Then he says, Leah was involved in something much bigger than you realize. We've been investigating this group for months. They're connected to organized crime, money laundering, blackmail, you name it. We didn't know your wife was involved until last night. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Organized crime, money laundering, blackmail. How had I been so blind? How had I missed this? Why? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Why would she do this? Harris shakes his head. We don't have all the answers yet, but it looks like she was in deep. Maybe she was coerced. Maybe she was a willing participant. We're still trying to piece it together. I close my eyes, the weight of it all pressing down on me. Leah, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, was involved in something so dark, so dangerous, and now I'm caught in the middle of it. There's something else, Harris says, his voice pulling me back to the present. We believe there's more at play here. The men who took you, they weren't just after the money. We think they wanted something else, something you might not even know you have. I frown, trying to process what he's saying. Something else? What do you mean? Harris leans forward again, his expression serious. We're not sure yet, but whatever it is, it's important enough that they were willing to kill you for it. We need to find out what it is before they do. My mind spins, trying to make sense of it all. What could I possibly have that would be so valuable? The money? The key? I understand that. But something else? I can't think of anything. Look, Harris says, his tone softening. I know this is a lot to take in, but you need to be careful. These people don't just give up. They'll come after you again if they think you still have what they want. A chill runs down my spine at his words. I thought the nightmare was over when they raided the house, but it's clear now that it's just beginning. What do? I ask, my voice trembling, despite my best efforts to stay calm. Harris stands up, placing a hand on my shoulder. For now, you recover. We'll keep you safe. But once you're out of here, we'll need to work together to figure out what's going on. We'll find out what they're after, and we'll stop them. I nod, though fear gnaws at me, deep and unrelenting. I'm in over my head, caught in a web of deceit and danger that I never saw coming, but I don't have a choice. If I want to survive, if I want to get to the bottom of this, I have to play along. After Harris leaves, I'm left alone with my thoughts, the beeping of the machines around me the only sound in the room. I feel exhausted, both physically and mentally, but sleep won't come. My mind is too full, too chaotic. Leah's face keeps flashing in my mind, her cold eyes, her mocking smile. How could she do this to me? To us? I keep replaying the events of the past few days, looking for clues, for signs that I missed. But nothing makes sense. I don't know how long I lie there, lost in my thoughts before the door opens again. This time it's a nurse, a kind-looking woman in her 40s with dark hair pulled back into a tight bun. How are you feeling, Mr. Daniels? She asks, checking the monitors by my bed. Like I've been hit by a truck, I say, managing a weak smile. She smiles back, though there's sympathy in her eyes. That's to be expected. You've been through a lot. She adjusts the IV and then looks at me, her expression softening. You're lucky to be alive, you know. I nod, though I don't feel lucky. I feel like a man who's had his entire life ripped out from under him. If you need anything, just press the call button, she says, giving my arm a gentle pat before leaving the room. I watch her go, then turn my head to look out the window. It's dark outside, the city lights twinkling in the distance. Somewhere out there, Leah is in custody, probably being interrogated, questioned about her involvement with these people. But I know her. She won't crack easily. She's always been strong, stubborn. That's one of the things I loved about her. And now it's one of the things that terrifies me. I can't stop thinking about what Harris said, about the possibility that there's something else these people want. Something I don't even know I have. What could it be? I've been racking my brain, going over everything I can think of, but nothing stands out. I'm just an ordinary guy, a businessman. I don't have any secrets, at least none that would be worth killing for. The hours pass slowly, and eventually I drift into a fitful sleep. My dreams are fragmented, full of dark corridors and shadowy figures, Leah's face morphing into something monstrous, something unrecognizable. I wake up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding, the sheets tangled around me. It's morning, the soft light of dawn filtering through the curtains. I feel groggy, disoriented, but the pain has dulled, thanks to the medication they've been giving me. I sit up slowly, wincing at the stiffness in my muscles. The door opens again, and this time it's Harris, looking as serious as ever. "How are you holding up?" he asks, pulling up the chair beside my bed. "I've been better," I admit, rubbing my temples. "Did you find out anything from Leah?" Harris hesitates, then shakes his head. "She's not talking. She's smart, knows how to play the game. But we're not giving up. We'll keep pressing her." I nod, though I know it's going to be a long, hard road to get any answers out of her. Leah is nothing if not resilient. "Listen," Harris says, leaning forward, his voice low. "We've been going through your financial records, trying to find any clues about what they might be after. We found the offshore account, but there's nothing unusual about it. It's just money, like you said." "So what then?" I ask, frustration creeping into my voice. "What do they want?" Harris sighs, running a hand through his hair. "We don't know, but we're going to find out. In the meantime, I need you to think. Is there anything at all, that you might have that could be valuable? Documents, information, anything?" I rack my brain, trying to think of something, anything that could be important. But nothing comes to mind. "I don't know," I say finally, my voice laced with defeat. "I really don't." Harris watches me for a moment, then nods. "Okay, we'll keep digging. But you need to be careful, James. These people are dangerous, and they won't stop until they get what they want." "I know," I say, the fear in my chest flaring up again. "But what do I do? I can't just sit here and wait for them to come after me again." Harris's expression hardens. "You're right. We're going to move you to a safe house, somewhere they can't find you. You'll be under protection until we figure this out." The idea of being whisked away to some undisclosed location, cut off from everything I know, fills me with a sense of dread. But I know it's the only way. If I stay here, I'm a sitting duck. "Okay," I say, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. "Let's do it." Harris stands up, offering me a reassuring smile. "We'll take care of you, James. You're not alone in this." But as he leaves the room, I can't shake the feeling that I am alone, more alone than I've ever been. The woman I loved is gone, replaced by a stranger. And now I'm being hunted by people who want something I don't even know I have. The next few days are a blur of movement and secrecy. I'm discharged from the hospital and taken to a safe house in a quiet neighborhood, far from the city. It's a nondescript place, the kind you'd walk past 100 times without noticing. But inside, it's equipped with everything I need: security systems, food, even a small office where I can try to piece together my shattered life. The agents assigned to protect me are professional, efficient, but distant. They keep their distance, giving me space but always keeping a watchful eye. I appreciate it, but it only serves to remind me of how precarious my situation is. I spend hours sitting at the small desk, staring at my laptop, going through my files, my emails, anything that might give me a clue. But it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Nothing stands out, nothing seems out of the ordinary. The isolation starts to get to me. The quiet, the solitude. I've always been a social person, always surrounded by people, at work, at home. Now it's just me and my thoughts, and they're not pleasant company. One night, I'm sitting on the couch, trying to focus on a book one of the agents gave me, when my phone buzzes. It's a text message from a number I don't recognize. My heart skips a beat as I read the message. "Do you really think they can protect you?" I stare at the screen, my hands shaking. Whoever this is, they found me. The safe house, the agents. It's not enough. They're still out there, still watching. My mind races, panic rising in my chest. What do? I can't run. I can't hide. They'll find me wherever I go. The only option left is to fight back, to find out what they want and stop them before they get to me. I take a deep breath, forcing myself to think clearly. I have to be smart about this. Careful. I can't afford to make any mistakes. The next morning, I call Harris. We need to talk. I say, my voice steady despite the fear gnawing at me. About what? He asks, his tone cautious. About how we're going to stop them, I say, determination hardening inside me. I'm done hiding. It's time to fight back. The words feel foreign on my tongue, but they're the only choice I have left. If I want to survive, if I want to take control of my life again, I have to face this head on. No more running, no more hiding. It's time to take the fight to them. The safe house is a cage. It might be secure, hidden from the eyes of those who are hunting me, but it feels like a prison. I pace the small living room, my mind racing, desperate to make sense of everything that's happened. The walls close in on me, a constant reminder that my life has spiraled out of control. I need to get out, to take action, to regain some semblance of control. I call Harris, my voice tinged with urgency. We need to talk, I say, trying to keep the desperation out of my voice, about how we're going to stop them. He agrees to meet me, and within an hour he's at the door, his expression as serious as ever. We sit at the small kitchen table, a pot of coffee between us. The aroma is strong, but it does nothing to calm my nerves. I've been thinking, I start, my hands wrapped tightly around the warm mug. We can't just wait for them to come after me again. We need to figure out what they want, and we need to hit them before they hit us. Harris nods, his eyes narrowing as he considers my words. You're right, but we need to be careful. These people are dangerous. They don't play by the rules. I lean forward, my voice low and intense. Neither do I, not anymore. Harris studies me for a moment, then nods. Okay, let's go over what we know. We spend the next hour dissecting every detail, every scrap of information we have. It's not much, but it's enough to start piecing together a plan. I know these people won't stop until they get what they want, and I can't afford to be caught off guard again. I need to get back into my office, I tell Harris. There might be something there, something I missed. He hesitates, clearly uncomfortable with the idea of me leaving the safety of the house. It's too risky. They could be watching. I shake my head. I don't care. I need to see if there's something there, something that might give us a lead. Harris finally agrees, but only if we take every precaution. He arranges for a surveillance team to cover my office, and I wear a wire just in case things go south. As I step out of the safe house for the first time in days, the cool air hits me, and for a moment, I feel alive again. But the feeling is fleeting, replaced by the ever-present fear that they could be watching, waiting. The drive to my office is tense, every passing car, every shadow on the sidewalk setting my nerves on edge. Harris is in the car with me, his eyes scanning our surroundings. We pull into the underground garage, and I take a deep breath before stepping out. This place, once a symbol of my success, now feels like another trap. We move quickly, heading straight for my office. The building is mostly empty at this hour, which is a relief. The fewer people who see me, the better. Harris stays close, his presence a small comfort in the growing darkness of my life. I sit at my desk, the familiar feel of the leather chair grounding me for a moment. But there's no time to dwell on the past. I start going through my files, my laptop, everything. Harris watches silently, his eyes never leaving the door. Hours pass, and I'm about to give up when I find it. A flash drive hidden in a folder labeled personal. My heart skips a beat as I hold it up to the light. I don't remember putting it there. I don't remember seeing it before. But there it is, small and unassuming, yet heavy with the weight of potential answers. What's that? Harris asks, his tone sharp. I don't know, I admit, but I think it's what they're after. We don't risk opening it there. Instead, we pack everything up and head back to the safe house. The flash drive tucked securely in my pocket. The ride back is even more tense, the silence between us thick with anticipation. Back at the safe house, we set up a secure laptop and insert the drive. The screen flickers to life, and my heart pounds in my chest. This could be it. The answers I've been searching for. The key to everything. The files on the drive are encrypted, of course, but Harris has brought in someone to help. A tech expert who works with the FBI. He's a young guy, maybe in his late 20s, with a nervous energy that makes me uneasy. But he's good at what he does, and within an hour he's cracked the encryption. The files open, and what we see sends a chill down my spine. It's a list, names, dates, transactions. Offshore accounts, wire transfers, all linked to powerful people. Politicians, business moguls, even law enforcement officials. It's a web of corruption that stretches far beyond anything I could have imagined. They're laundering money, Harris says, his voice low. And not just any money. This is big, billions of dollars. I stare at the screen, my mind racing. Leah was involved in this. She knew, and she was keeping it from me. But why? What was her role in all of this? We need to take this to the higher-ups, Harris continues. This is beyond us now. It's a matter of national security. But I can't let it go. Not yet. There's something else here. Something that's nagging at the back of my mind. I scroll through the files looking for anything that might give me more answers. And then I find it. A video file buried deep within the encrypted data. I click on it, my hands shaking. The video starts, and I see Leah sitting in what looks like a high-end hotel room. She's talking to someone, though I can't see who. The camera angle is tight, focused on her face, her expression unreadable. I have the key, she says, her voice calm, controlled. But I need assurance that James will be safe. He doesn't know about any of this. He's innocent. My breath catches in my throat. She was trying to protect me. But from what? From whom? The person off camera speaks, though their voice is distorted, masked. You know how this works, Leah. No one is safe until the job is done. If you want to protect him, you need to do exactly what we say. Leah nods, her eyes filled with a determination I've never seen before. Fine, but if anything happens to him, I'll make sure this whole thing blows up in your face. The video ends, leaving me with more questions than answers. Leah was involved, yes, but she wasn't a willing participant. She was being forced, manipulated, and she was trying to protect me, even as she betrayed me. Jesus, Harris mutters, rubbing his temples. This just keeps getting deeper. I sit back, trying to process everything. Leah was trying to keep me out of it, but now I'm in the middle of a conspiracy that could bring down powerful people. And they know I have this information. They won't stop until they get it back. We need to move fast, Harris says, standing up. We need to get you into witness protection. This isn't just about you anymore. This is about taking down an entire network. But I can't just disappear. Not now. Not after everything I've learned. I need to find Leah. I need to know the truth. I'm not going into hiding, I say, my voice firm. Not yet. I need to talk to Leah. I need to find out what she knows. Harris looks at me like I've lost my mind. Are you crazy? She's in federal custody. There's no way you're getting to her. I have to try, I insist. She's the only one who can tell me what's really going on. Harris hesitates, clearly torn, but eventually he sighs and nods. Okay, I'll see what I can do, but you need to understand, once you go down this road, there's no turning back. You could be putting yourself in even more danger. I know, I say, meeting his gaze, but I have to do this. It takes some time, but Harris pulls some strings, and soon I'm on my way to a secure location where Leah is being held. The drive is long, the silence between us heavy. I don't know what I'm going to say to her or how she'll react when she sees me. But I need answers. I need to know why she did this. We arrive at the facility, and I'm led through a series of checkpoints, each one more intimidating than the last. Finally, I'm brought to a small, dimly lit room with a single table and 2 chairs. The door opens, and Leah is brought in, her hands cuffed in front of her. She looks different, tired, defeated, but when she sees me, something flickers in her eyes. Surprise? Regret? I can't tell. James, she says, her voice soft, almost broken. What are you doing here? I sit down across from her, my heart pounding. I need answers, Leah. I need to know why. She sighs, looking down at her hands. I didn't want this, any of this. But they left me no choice. Who are they? I ask, leaning forward. Why did you get involved with them? Leah hesitates, then finally meets my gaze. They approached me years ago before we even met. I was in debt, desperate. They offered me a way out, but it came with a price. I had to help them launder money, set up accounts, move funds around. I thought I could handle it, that I could keep it separate from my life with you, but it got out of control. And the key, I ask, my voice tight. What is it for? It's access, she says quietly, to everything, all their accounts, all their transactions. They keep everything locked down, but that key opens the door. It's worth billions, and they know I have it. I feel a cold sweat break out on my forehead. So that's why they're after me? Because they think I have the key? Leah nods. I tried to keep you out of it, James. I really did. But when they found out about you, they saw an opportunity. They thought they could use you to get to me, to force me to give it up. I lean back, the weight of her words settling over me. So what now? What do we do? Leah's eyes fill with tears, and for the first time I see the fear in her. I don't know. I don't know how to get out of this. They're everywhere, James. They have connections in every corner of power. If they find out you have the key, I reach across the table, taking her hands in mine. We'll figure it out, I say, though I don't know how. We'll find a way to stop them. She looks at me, a mix of hope and despair in her eyes. I'm sorry, James, for everything. I nod, squeezing her hands. I know, but right now we need to focus on getting out of this alive. The door opens and Harris steps in, his expression grim. Time's up, he says, his voice leaving no room for argument. I stand, still holding Leah's hands. I'll be back, I promise her. We'll get through this. She nods, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Be careful, James. I watch as they lead her away, a hollow feeling in my chest. I don't know how we're going to survive this, or if we even can. But one thing is clear. I'm not going to let these people win. I'm going to fight back with everything I have. And I'm going to protect Leah, no matter what. Harris walks with me as we leave the facility, his face set in a determined expression. We need to move fast, he says. Now that we know what they're after, we have to secure that key and take down everyone involved. I nod, my mind already racing with possibilities. Let's do it. The next few days are a blur of preparation and planning. Harris pulls in more agents, experts in cybercrime and financial forensics. We work around the clock, piecing together the evidence, mapping out the network of corruption that Leah had uncovered. The flash drive becomes our most valuable tool, a roadmap to the heart of the conspiracy. But as we get closer to the truth, the danger escalates. We start receiving threats, anonymous calls, messages, all warning us to back off. But we don't. We can't. The more they push, the more determined I become. I won't let them scare me into submission. Finally, we're ready. We've gathered enough evidence to take down the key players, to expose the entire operation, but it won't be easy. These people are powerful, with resources and connections that run deep. We know they'll fight back, and it won't be pretty. The night before the operation, I can't sleep. I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with what-ifs. What if we fail? What if they get to us first? What if Leah doesn't make it out alive? But I push those thoughts aside. I have to stay focused to keep my eye on the goal. I'm not just fighting for my life, but for Leah's and for the chance to finally put an end to this nightmare. The next day we move in. The operation is swift, coordinated, with agents hitting multiple locations simultaneously. I'm not on the front lines. I'm too close to the case, too emotionally involved. But I'm there, in the command center, watching the feeds, listening to the reports as they come in. It's chaos, but it's controlled chaos. The agents move with precision, taking down targets, securing evidence, making arrests. The web of deceit is unraveling, and I can see the relief on Harris's face as the operation progresses. But it's not over yet. there's one final piece of the puzzle left, confronting the mastermind behind it all. The person who orchestrated everything, who manipulated Leah, who put my life in danger. And I know who it is. We've traced the funds, the connections, and it all leads back to one man, a powerful businessman with ties to organized crime, someone who's managed to stay in the shadows until now. Harris and I are part of the team that moves in to arrest him. It's risky, but I need to be there. I need to see this through to the end. We arrive at his mansion, a sprawling estate on the outskirts of the city. The gates are open, the security disabled by our tech team. We move in, guns drawn, ready for anything. But as we enter the house, it's eerily quiet. No guards, no resistance. Just the sound of our footsteps echoing in the empty halls. And then we find him, sitting in his office, a smug smile on his face. He's alone, unarmed, as if he's been expecting us. "You're too late," he says, his voice calm. "The key is gone. You'll never find it." But I know he's lying. The key is safe, hidden where he'll never reach it. And now it's time to end this. Harris steps forward, reading him his rights, but I can't resist one final question. "Why?" I ask, my voice hard. "Why go through all of this? Was it just about the money?" He smiles, a cold, calculating smile. "It's always about the money, Mr. Daniels. But for me, it was also about power, control, and now it's about survival." But I'm done with his games. I step back as Harris cuffs him, the weight of the moment settling over me. It's over. The nightmare is finally over. As we lead him out of the house, I feel a sense of relief, but also a deep exhaustion. It's been a long, brutal fight, but we've won. And now it's time to pick up the pieces of my life, to figure out what comes next. But as I walk out into the daylight, I know one thing for sure. I'm not the same man I was before this started, and I never will be again. I can't believe we're finally here. After all the chaos, the betrayals, and the danger, it feels surreal to be standing outside the courthouse. The morning is cool, the sky overcast, as if the world itself is holding its breath for what's about to unfold. I adjust my tie, trying to keep my hands steady, but the nerves are getting to me. The trial is about to begin, and everything I've been through has led to this moment. Harris stands beside me, a steady presence in the storm that has been my life. He's dressed sharply, his expression unreadable. We've been working together for weeks now, piecing together the evidence, preparing for this day. But even with all the preparation, there's a knot of anxiety in my gut that I can't shake. "You ready for this?" Harris asks, his voice low so only I can hear. "As ready as I'll ever be," I reply, my voice steadier than I feel. The doors to the courthouse loom ahead, and I take a deep breath before stepping inside. The hallways are bustling with activity, lawyers, reporters, spectators, all drawn to the spectacle of the trial. This isn't just any case, it's the takedown of a criminal empire, and it's my testimony that could seal the deal. We move through the crowd, making our way to the courtroom. Inside, the atmosphere is thick with tension. The jurors are already seated, their faces serious, knowing the weight of the decision they'll have to make. The prosecution and defense teams are in place, shuffling through papers, preparing their opening statements. And then there's the man at the center of it all, the mastermind, the one who orchestrated everything. He sits at the defense table, calm, composed, as if this is just another day in his life. His eyes meet mine briefly, and I feel a shiver run down my spine. There's no fear in his gaze, only cold calculation. Leah is there too, seated with her attorney. She looks exhausted, worn down by everything that's happened, but there's a resilience in her eyes that wasn't there before. We haven't spoken since our last meeting, but I can feel the weight of her presence. She's a key witness, just like me, and together we hold the power to bring this man down. The judge enters, and everyone rises. The trial begins. The prosecution starts strong, laying out the case with meticulous detail. They present the evidence we've gathered, the financial records, the encrypted files, the video of Leah's coerced involvement. It's damning, and I can see the jurors reacting, their faces showing shock, disgust, and a growing resolve. Then it's my turn to testify. I've been over this 100 times with Harris, but that doesn't make it any easier. I take the stand, trying to keep my emotions in check as I recount everything. Finding Leah with those men, the torture, the threats, the discovery of the flash drive. I describe the conspiracy in as much detail as I can, making sure the jury understands just how deep it goes. As I speak, I can feel the eyes of the courtroom on me. The defense attorney tries to rattle me, but I hold my ground. I know the truth, and I'm not going to let them twist it. Every word I say is a step closer to justice, and I cling to that thought, using it to push through the fear. When I'm done, I'm exhausted, but there's also a sense of relief. I've done my part. Now it's up to the jury. Leah testifies next, and it's even harder to watch. She's vulnerable up there, exposed as she admits to her involvement. But she also tells the truth about how she was manipulated, how she was trying to protect me, even as she was drawn deeper into the web. It's painful to hear, but it's also necessary. The jury needs to understand her side of the story, to see that she's not just a criminal, but a victim too. As the trial progresses, the tension only builds. The defense tries to poke holes in our stories, to discredit us, but the evidence is too strong. The prosecution is relentless, hammering home the extent of the conspiracy, the lives destroyed by it, the billions of dollars laundered through it. Finally, after days of testimony, the closing arguments are made. The jury is sent to deliberate, and the waiting begins. It's the longest few hours of my life. I can't sit still, pacing the halls of the courthouse, replaying everything in my head. What if the jury doesn't believe us? What if this man, this monster, walks free? Harris tries to reassure me, but I can see the worry in his eyes too. This case is huge, and the stakes are higher than I ever imagined. If we lose, it won't just be a personal failure. It will mean that this criminal network continues to thrive, untouchable by the law. Finally, the jury returns. We file back into the courtroom, the air so thick with tension it's hard to breathe. The foreman stands holding the verdict in his hands. I can feel my heart pounding in my chest, every second stretching out like an eternity. We, the jury, find the defendant. Time seems to stop. I hold my breath, waiting for the words that will determine the future. Guilty on all counts. There's a collective exhale from the room, a wave of relief and satisfaction washing over the courtroom. The judge thanks the jury, dismisses them, and then turns to the defendant, pronouncing the sentence. Life in prison without the possibility of parole. It's over. We've won, but as I stand there surrounded by people congratulating each other, I don't feel the triumph I expected. Instead, there's a deep exhaustion, a weariness that goes beyond physical fatigue. I've fought so hard, lost so much, and now that it's over, I don't know what comes next. Leah is escorted out, and for a moment our eyes meet. There's a sadness there, a recognition of everything we've been through. But there's also something else. Hope. Maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to rebuild, to move forward from the wreckage of our lives. Harris claps me on the shoulder, pulling me out of my thoughts. You did it, he says, his voice filled with genuine admiration. You took them down. I nod, though the words feel hollow. Yeah, I say, more to myself than to him. We did. As I leave the courthouse, the cool air hits me again, refreshing after the stifling atmosphere inside. The sky is still overcast, but there's a hint of light breaking through the clouds. I stand there for a moment, letting it wash over me, trying to find some sense of peace. But peace is elusive. I know that even though the trial is over, the effects will linger. I'll carry the scars of this ordeal for the rest of my life, both physical and emotional. But maybe with time, those scars will fade. I head home, the drive feeling longer than it should. The house is quiet when I get there, empty and cold. It doesn't feel like home anymore, just a place filled with memories that I'm not ready to face. I wander through the rooms, the silence pressing in on me, the pictures on the walls, the furniture. Everything reminds me of what I've lost. I end up in the living room, standing in front of the fireplace where Leah and I used to sit, talking late into the night. It feels like a lifetime ago. I drop onto the couch, running a hand through my hair. I should feel relieved, happy even that it's all over. But all I feel is numb. I've been running on adrenaline for so long, fighting to survive, that now, without the fight, I don't know what to do with myself. The phone rings, breaking the silence. I don't recognize the number, but I answer it anyway. Anything to break the emptiness. "James," a familiar voice says on the other end. It's Leah. "Leah," I reply, my voice catching in my throat. "How are you?" "I'm okay," she says, though I can hear the exhaustion in her voice. "I just wanted to thank you for everything." I close my eyes, leaning back against the couch. "You don't have to thank me," I say. "We both did what we had to do." There's a pause on the other end, and I can hear her taking a deep breath. "I know things will never be the same between us, but I want you to know that I never meant to hurt you. I was trying to protect you." "I know," I say softly. "I know you were, and I'm sorry too, for not seeing it sooner, for not understanding." Another pause, then she says, "What happens now?" It's a question I've been asking myself since the verdict came in. What happens now? Where do we go from here? I don't know, I admit. But I think we both need some time to heal, to figure things out. "Yeah," she agrees. "I think you're right." We talk for a few more minutes, the conversation awkward but necessary. There's a lot of pain between us, a lot of hurt that won't go away overnight. But there's also the possibility of healing, of finding a way forward, even if it's not together. After I hang up, I sit there for a long time, staring at the phone in my hand. The house is still quiet, but it doesn't feel as oppressive as before. I know I have a long road ahead of me, a road filled with uncertainty and challenges. But I also know that I'm not alone. I have Harris. I have the support of the people who helped bring down the conspiracy. And maybe in time, I'll have Leah as a friend, if nothing else. I stand up feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. It's not much, but it's a start. I head to the kitchen, make myself a cup of coffee, and sit by the window, watching as the clouds slowly part, revealing a sliver of blue sky. It's not over, not by a long shot. But for the first time in a long time, I feel a sense of hope. The web of deceit that had ensnared me is gone, and now it's up to me to decide what comes next. It won't be easy, but I'm ready to face it. One step at a time. As I sip my coffee, I think about the future. It's uncertain, but it's mine. And that's something no one can take away from me. The final confrontation unfolds in a place I never expected, the old warehouse by the docks, a place that seems ripped straight from a movie. The air is thick with the smell of salt and rust, the sound of waves crashing against the pier echoing in the distance. I'm here because it all comes down to this, because everything I've been through has led me to this moment. There's no turning back now. Harris is with me, along with a team of agents. We're all on edge, knowing that this is the last stand, the final showdown that will either bring everything to a close or end in disaster. My heart races as we approach the building, the worn metal doors looming like the entrance to hell itself. Inside, the place is dimly lit, shadows dancing across the concrete floor. We move carefully, guns drawn, the tension in the air palpable. I can hear my own breathing, too loud in the oppressive silence. We know they're here, the mastermind, the remaining members of the criminal network, all of them desperate and dangerous. It's quiet, too quiet, and that's what unnerves me the most. I've been through too much to let my guard down now, but something about the stillness makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Then out of the shadows they emerge, armed, ready, but there's a difference now, a desperation in their eyes, a recognition that the game is almost over. And there he is, the man who orchestrated all of this, the mastermind. He steps forward, calm as ever, but I can see the cracks in his composure. He knows the end is near, but he's not going down without a fight. "James," he says, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "I have to admit, I didn't think you'd make it this far." I keep my gun trained on him, every muscle in my body tense. "It's over," I say, my voice cold, resolute. "You're done." He laughs, a low, mocking sound that sends a chill down my spine. "You think it's that simple? Do you really believe taking me down will fix everything? You're in too deep now, James. You've seen too much." I know he's trying to rattle me, to make me doubt myself, but I don't let him. "Maybe," I reply, "but it ends here, with you." The agents fan out, surrounding him and his men, but I keep my eyes on him. This is the man who ruined my life, who turned everything I loved into a nightmare. I want to pull the trigger, to end it all right here and now, but I know that's not the way this has to go. "You've already lost," I say, taking a step closer. "Your network is dismantled. Your money trail's exposed. There's nowhere left for you to run." His smile fades, replaced by a steely resolve. "I always have a backup plan, James. Do you?" Before I can react, he lunges forward, a gun appearing in his hand as if by magic. The agents move to intercept, but I'm faster. I fire, the shot ringing out, loud and final in the enclosed space. He drops to the ground, the gun slipping from his grasp, blood pooling beneath him. It's over. I stand there, my gun still aimed at his fallen form, my heart pounding in my chest. The agents rush forward, securing the scene, but I can't move. I'm frozen, staring at the man who nearly destroyed me, who came so close to winning. Harris places a hand on my shoulder, pulling me back to reality. "It's done," he says, his voice steady, grounding. "You did it." I nod, but the victory feels hollow. The relief I expected doesn't come. Instead, there's just emptiness, a void where my life used to be. I've won, but at what cost? We leave the warehouse, the cool night air hitting me like a wave. The adrenaline is wearing off, leaving me drained, exhausted in a way I've never felt before. The agents are talking, coordinating the cleanup, but I barely hear them. All I can think about is how this all started, how it could have been different if only I'd seen the signs earlier. Leah. Her face flashes in my mind, and the ache in my chest intensifies. I saved her in a way, but I couldn't save us. That realization is the hardest to bear. Harris drives me back to the safe house, the silence between us thick with unspoken words. He knows better than to push me right now. We've been through too much together, and he respects that I need time to process everything. When we arrive, I step out of the car, turning to face him. "Thank you," I say, the words simple but loaded with meaning. He nods, understanding. "Take care of yourself, James. You've been through hell. You deserve some peace." Peace. It feels like a foreign concept now, something distant and unattainable. But I nod anyway, closing the door and watching as he drives away. Inside the safe house, the silence is overwhelming. I walk through the empty rooms, the memories of everything that's happened here replaying in my mind. It's over, but it doesn't feel that way. Not yet. I sit down on the couch, the same spot where I've spent countless sleepless nights, planning, strategizing, surviving. The exhaustion hits me all at once, a wave that nearly knocks me over. I lean back, closing my eyes, letting the darkness wash over me. But sleep doesn't come. My mind is too full, too chaotic, the events of the past few weeks swirling in an endless loop. I think about Leah, about the life we had before it all fell apart, and I wonder if we can ever find our way back to each other. But deep down, I know the answer. Some things can't be undone, and the damage is too great. Morning comes, and with it, the weight of reality. I have to move on. I have to find a way to live again, even if it's a life I never imagined for myself. I start by packing up my things methodically, as if the routine will somehow bring order to the chaos in my mind. The safe house has served its purpose, but it's time to leave it behind, to step out into the world and face whatever comes next. As I load the last of my bags into the car, I pause, taking one last look at the place that was both a refuge and a prison. It's strange to think that this chapter of my life is over, that everything I fought for is behind me now. But I know better than to believe it's truly the end. There's always another challenge, another battle waiting around the corner. The world doesn't stop because one man falls. I drive away, the road stretching out before me, uncertain and open. I don't know where I'm going, only that I need to keep moving. The past is a weight I'll carry with me, but it won't define me. Not anymore. I think about Leah one last time, about the love we shared and the betrayal that tore us apart. I don't know if I'll ever see her again, or if I'll ever find peace with what happened. But I do know that I have to try, to keep living, to keep fighting for whatever comes next. The sun rises in the distance, painting the sky with shades of gold and pink. It's a new day, a new beginning, and I'm ready to face it, whatever it brings. I've been through hell, but I'm still here, still standing, and that's enough. For now, it's enough. Rebuilding my life feels like trying to put together a shattered vase with pieces missing. Every day I wake up and face the silence, the emptiness that fills the spaces where laughter and conversation once existed. The house, once a sanctuary, now feels haunted by memories I can't escape. But I keep moving forward because that's all I can do. I start with the basics. I get up, I eat, I force myself to go through the motions. The trial may be over, but the aftershocks still reverberate through every aspect of my life. The media frenzy has died down. The headlines no longer scream my name, but the whispers are still there. I can feel the weight of judgment in every sideways glance, in every whispered conversation that stops abruptly when I walk into a room. Harris checks in on me regularly, his concern palpable. He offers help, support, even suggests therapy, but I'm not ready to bare my soul to a stranger. Instead, I focus on what I can control. I dive into work, trying to rebuild my business, though the scandal has left it in shambles. Clients have backed away, their trust eroded by the chaos that surrounded me. But I'm determined to prove myself again, to show that I'm more than the man who was deceived and nearly destroyed. Leah is never far from my thoughts. We haven't spoken since that last phone call, but I know she's out there, trying to piece together her own life. I wonder if she thinks about me, if she regrets what happened, if she's found any semblance of peace. Part of me wants to reach out to see if we can find closure together, but I don't. There's too much pain, too many wounds that haven't healed. One day I find myself driving without a destination, just needing to get away from the suffocating confines of my house. The road stretches out before me, a ribbon of asphalt leading to nowhere in particular. I pass through towns I've never visited, through landscapes that blur into a monotony of green and gray. Eventually, I stop at a small diner on the edge of a town whose name I don't catch. It's quiet, nearly empty, and that's exactly what I need. I order a coffee, black and bitter, and sit by the window staring out at nothing. The waitress, a woman in her 50s with tired eyes, brings my drink and leaves me alone. I sip the coffee, letting its heat seep through me, and for the first time in a long while, I feel a flicker of something. Maybe not peace, but a momentary reprieve from the storm inside me. As I sit there, I think about everything that's happened. The deception, the betrayal, the violence, all of it led me to this moment. I should feel angry, bitter, but instead I feel something else, something quieter, more subdued. Acceptance, perhaps. Acceptance that my life has changed, that I can't go back to who I was before, but I can choose who I become next. I pull out my phone, scrolling through old messages, old photos, lingering on pictures of Leah and me before everything fell apart. We were happy once, or at least I thought we were. But looking at those images now, I see the cracks I missed back then, the signs that something was wrong. I wonder if I was blind or just didn't want to see. My phone buzzes with a new message. It's from Harris. He's asking if I'm okay, if I need anything. I hesitate before responding, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. I type out a quick reply. I'm fine, just needed some time to think, and hit send. His response is almost immediate. Take care of yourself, James. You've been through a lot. If you ever need to talk, I'm here. I stare at the message, feeling a swell of gratitude. Harris has been a rock through all of this, but I know he's worried about me. I'm worried about me too. But for the first time, I feel like I might actually be okay. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday. I finish my coffee and leave the diner, the bell above the door jingling as I step out into the cool air. The sun is setting, casting long shadows across the parking lot. I stand there for a moment, breathing in the fresh air, feeling the weight of the day lift slightly. Then I get back in my car and drive. I don't go home. Instead, I head toward the coast, toward the ocean. I've always found comfort in the sea, in the vastness of it, the way it stretches out to the horizon, endless and unyielding. The drive takes hours, but I don't mind. It gives me time to think, to process everything that's happened, everything that's still to come. When I reach the coast, it's dark, the stars scattered across the sky like diamonds on velvet. I park the car and walk down to the beach, the sand cool beneath my feet. The waves crash against the shore, a constant soothing rhythm that drowns out the noise in my head. I sit down on the sand, staring out at the ocean. The water is black, endless, a mirror of the sky above. I let the sound of the waves wash over me, the scent of salt and seaweed filling my lungs. It's peaceful here, far removed from the chaos of my life. For the first time in a long while, I feel like I can breathe. As I sit there, I think about what comes next. The trial is over, the conspirators are behind bars, but my life is still in pieces. I know it won't be easy to put it back together, but I also know I'm not alone. I have Harris, I have the few friends who stuck by me, and maybe, just maybe, I have a chance at finding something new, something better. I don't know if I'll ever fully heal from what happened. The scars run deep, and some wounds may never close completely, but I can live with that. I can learn to move forward, to carry those scars with me as a reminder of what I've been through, of what I've survived. The sky begins to lighten, the first hints of dawn breaking over the horizon. I watch as the stars fade, replaced by the soft glow of morning. The world is waking up, and so am I. I stand, brushing the sand off my pants, and take one last look at the ocean. It's still there, still endless, still vast. But now it feels less daunting, less overwhelming. It feels like a promise, a reminder that there's always something more, something beyond the pain and the darkness. As I walk back to my car, I think about Leah. I hope she's found her own peace, her own way forward. Maybe our paths will cross again someday. Maybe they won't. But either way, I know we're both stronger now, both survivors of the storm that nearly destroyed us. I get in the car and drive away, the road stretching out before me, open and full of possibilities. I don't know where it will lead, but I'm ready to find out. The future is uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, that uncertainty doesn't scare me. It excites me. I smile as the sun rises behind me, casting its light across the road ahead. This is my life now, my journey, and I'm ready to embrace it, scars and all. The past is behind me, the future is unwritten, and I'm finally free to decide what comes next.